Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, Suresh. Good morning.
A very good morning and good evening.
Good evening.
So welcome to Azure Data Engineering demo, guys. Um, First of all, I would like to thank you for showing interest in our course. Um, Before I talk agenda for today's demo, I just want to uh, introduce myself. I'm Suresh. I have close to 13 years of experience into data engineering. Have been working from traditional big data ecosystems, guys. I started with Hadoop, where I used to implement applications using MapReduce, Hive, Pig, and all the Hadoop stack. Then I transitioned from Hadoop to Spark. Spark, I was using Spark Core, Spark SQL back then. And then, started using data frames and doing all the transformations using Spark data frames by Spark. Then I started my cloud journey in around 2017, if I'm not wrong. And, I have got opportunities to work on not just Azure, but I do have hands-on with GCP. I have spent a good amount of time on GCP as well, but AWS, yes, I have worked for a couple of projects, but not as extensive as GCP and Azure. So, talking about my training experience, I train folks on Python and data engineering. Currently, I'm not doing Python, but data engineering. Again, I have close to 7 years of training experience, worked for multiple institutes, and have been working with Career IT for almost 6 years now. Um, yeah, that's a brief introduction about me. And now I just want to hear from you. You don't have to unmute and introduce you, but you can just ping me in the chat window your name and then your experience and the current technology you're working on in this format. So, for example, in my case, it is Suresh, experience 13 years, and currently I'm working as an Azure data engineer. If you are a fresher, you can just ping your name and then fresher. Okay. You can ping it in the chat window, or you can ping it in the chat window to everyone, or you can ping it to me in person too. Direct message. Hi, Shrutika. Hi, Roshan. Hi, Sudhakar. 19 years, data warehouse, Teradata WAF. Mahendra, 13, automation. Srikant, 14 years, DB2 database administration. Okay. Sushma, fresher. Hi, 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 everyone. Neerja, fresher. Rachna, 2 year data analyst. Great. Um, Bindu, data warehousing, 10 years experience. Wow. Rajesh, 6 years, SAP automation tester for one student fresher. Hi, everyone. Great. So let me talk about today's agenda, guys. So by the end of this session, you will get a fair understanding on what you are going to learn for next couple of months and how it is going to help you with your career. Okay. Hi, Navya. Will you forward this demo meeting recording? So basically, I'm not gonna get into these administrative things, guys. My job is only to deliver. But to answer your question, yes, whoever the Spock for you from Career IT, they'll be doing that. You can probably, follow up with them for this recording. But every single session I take will be forwarded to you. So basically, they'll create a Google Drive for your batch, and all the recordings would be uploaded in that Google Drive. Not just recordings, but all the artifacts I show you, be it the notebooks, the code, the examples, whatever I'm showing you in the session, all of them will be uploaded. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay, but to follow up, I'm not the right person. You'll have to contact your Spock from Career ID. Okay, cool. Now, talking about agenda, today I'm going to talk about what is data engineering. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about our course, what I'm going to cover as a part of our course, and then I'm going to take your Q&A, question and answers. Okay, so I'll be spending, some time on the first 2 points, and then we'll try to spend more time on your questions and answers. Okay. Now, before we actually try to understand data engineering, let's try to understand this word first, data. So what is data, guys? Try to make this session as interactive as possible. You can interact with me through chat window, or you can unmute yourself, or whatever you are comfortable with. So what is data?
Raw information.
Raw information. Okay. What else?
We can say like unformatted information, something like that.
Yeah, unformatted
It's
information.
it's like a raw information, we can say.
Okay.
Or unprocessed.
Unprocessed. Okay. So let me just a moment. So talking about this data, right? Generally in our day-to-day life, we use a couple of terms in wrong contexts. One is data, and second one is information. Okay. So your intention is correct when you're trying to talk about data, but we shouldn't be using term called information. Okay. So technical definition of data is a collection of raw facts. Collection of raw facts. Okay. So let's try to get into layman terminology to understand what exactly is this. See, for me, data, right? Data is nothing but, some numbers and strings, as simple as that. Okay, maybe booleans and other things too, but it's just a combination of alphanumeric characters. It could be pure numeric, it could be pure alphabets, it could be a alphanumeric combination. Okay, so the combination of them could be a Boolean value, could be a date, could be a string, could be an int, whatever it is. Again, I don't want to get into those technical details, but it's collection of some raw facts. So whenever we want to know about an employee, so we will ask, boss, do you have any information about this employee? Which is wrong. Okay. So do you have any details on the employee, or do you have any employee data? That is right. So the employee details I'm talking about could be employee ID, employee name, employee address, and the vertical for which he is currently tagged to, and then the current project, his manager, and current experience in this particular technology, his current experience in the industry. Okay. And his experience in the industry, and then his current experience in the current role. So all these things could be attributed to the employee data. Okay, can be stored at a single place, or it could be stored in multiple places too. Okay, so the data is nothing but it's a collection of some attributes, as simple as that, which would give you some data about some entity. That entity could be an employee, or it could be a student, or it could be a product, or it could be a customer, it could be anything else, as simple as that. Okay. Now, the term information, the reason why I have told you not to use the term information is this. Information is your processed data. Okay. So information is something which is giving you insights. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Probably, if I was given the data of maybe 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees, I'll not be able to interpret anything from that. Okay. But if somebody comes to me and told me that, boss, the average salary of these 1,000 employees or 10,000 employees is, let's say, 30 lakh per annum, INR. Okay. So that is something which would help me to understand or get some insights about it. Okay, so meaning if I pick any employee in random, his salary would be in and around that 30 lakh bracket. Okay, it could be, plus or minus 5 to that 30 lakh. There could be some outliers too, where you might fall into, 50, 55, higher extreme, and then, 15, 10 lakh for the lower extreme, whatever it could be. Okay, so, uh, information is something which is giving you some insights. Okay, so, or maybe, most of the, or 70% of my employees are trained or skilled on Azure data engineering. That 70% again is giving me something. So this is what we call as an information. Okay, now, there are different types of data, guys, structured data versus unstructured, structured data, and then you have something called as unstructured data, and then you have something called as semi-structured data. Okay, so these are on how data is stored. Okay, and then we have another classification based on the relevancy of the data, transactional data, and then we have something called as historic data. Okay, and this is the types of data, and then how do we process this data? We have again two different types: batch processing and then real-time processing. Okay, so these are all the few terms. I know, some of you might be familiar with these terms and some of you might not be familiar with these terms. That's why you are here. So I'm not going to deep dive into these terms today. That's what we are going to do from Monday. But I just want you to understand there are different types of data to handle with. And the data could be coming from different sources. It could be from your organizational database, or it could be some data you purchase from a third party vendor, or it could be, say for example, if you are purchasing data from third party vendor, the data could be shared using different tools. It could be through an email, it could be through a SharePoint drive, or it could be through a SFTP server, right? Or it could be through a REST API call. Okay, there are multiple ways the data that can be shared, or your data could be present in your data warehouses, your organization data warehouses, and or maybe the data could be from a different team in your organization, but again you'll have to uh, take it via calling a REST API. So there are multiple ways, multiple sources, guys. Okay, now I'll try to pick an example. Okay, so how many of you are joining from India? Anybody? Or everybody is from US? Rajesh, same pinch. Okay, so there are few folks joining from India. Good number of folks for this batch. Good. Okay. Yeah. Now, even though you're not joining from US, that is okay. But I hope you must have heard about sales happening in e-commerce platforms. I'm gonna take e-commerce example. It could be Amazon Great Indian Sale, very famous sale, or Flipkart Big Billion Sale. Okay. So most of the Indians who want to purchase mobiles or maybe any other electronic goods or whatever it could be, right? We generally wait for these sales, guys. Just like you have Thanksgiving sale in US. Okay. Now, you know, now talking about these sales, right? How many of you think that the discounts are random? How many of you think that discounts are given after a thorough analysis? Are they just randomly giving discounts, or they do a thorough analysis before giving you the discounts?
They do thorough analysis before giving the discounts.
Yes. Okay, as simple as that. That is a no-brainer answer, right? Obviously, they don't just give discounts randomly. Okay, they'll do thorough analysis because with their discounts, they don't want to end up in losses. Okay. Now let's take one of these sale guys, Amazon Great Indian Sale or Flipkart Big Billion Sale, whatever it is, right? Now you have sellers. Okay. Let's say, I'm one of the seller there, and my company name is Suresh Retail, something like this. Okay, and I'm selling, my products on Amazon, and now Great Indian Sale is coming, and I want to, come up with discounts so that that would create a win-win situation. Again, I can do research on myself, okay, or I can rely on the recommendations given by Amazon too. That's where Amazon is charging me and the customer as well. Okay, for selling and purchasing the product. That's a different story. I don't want to get there. But let's say I have my own retail organization where I'm using Amazon platform and Flipkart platform to sell my products. Okay. Now, Amazon Great Indian Sale is coming and I want to give some discounts on my product. Okay. So first things first, I would want two people to work on it. One is my data scientist who have thorough knowledge on machine learning and whatever it could be, and then there is another guy, data analyst. Okay, so whatever the outcome is from the machine learning algorithms, I'm just a business guy. I don't know anything technical, guys. Okay, so I want this data analyst to prepare beautiful visuals for me to go through those charts and then understand, what is what. Okay, so I have, called these two guys into my boardroom and I have told them, boss, Amazon Great Indian Sale is coming, Flipkart Big Billion Sale is coming. I want you to go get whatever that needs to be done. Okay, and then I want insights from you so that I can go ahead and, mark them in Amazon and Flipkart. Okay, now these guys, let's say this guy want to understand how many iPhones will be sold at what price. So for example, if he gave 10% discount, how many iPhones would be sold? If he gave 15% discount, how many iPhones would be sold? Not just for iPhone, but for all the products which I'm selling on my platform. Okay. And this guy needs to, display the same thing using a beautiful visual. Okay. Now for these two guys to do that, they need some data. Say for example, since he is working on a predictive use case, I just want to mention he's going to do some predictive analytics. Okay. And this guy is using some Power BI charts. Okay. Now for both of them, they need some fuel. Okay. What are the machine learning algorithm this particular data scientist want to run? He needs data. Fuel is our data. Okay. So again, let's say data scientists want to run some logistic regression algorithm or maybe, some random forest algorithm. Okay. He needs some data. Okay. Now, who would be the one helps this particular data scientist with the data? There comes the data engineer. Okay. Let's say what are the data this guy wants to run. His predictive analytics is sitting in internal database, and the sales data shared by Amazon. Let's say that is in SFTP server. Okay. And then he's also doing some kind of search analysis from Google digital marketing data, which is, I just want to call it as, clickstream data for now. Okay. And he's also need some data coming from history, which is in data warehousing or data warehouses of, my organization. And let us assume this guy is running some, deep learning algorithms for this predictive analytics. And he want data to be in one format so that he can directly run his algorithm on that particular format. Now, this is the guy who would make sure this guy is getting data in the format he is expecting. Okay, whatever could be the sources, whatever could be the format of the data, whether it is structured, unstructured, semi-structured, or your data is transactional or historic, it doesn't really matter for this particular guy, data engineer. Okay, so he is the one who would go get data from all those sources and then create the data in the format the data scientist and data analyst wants to run their deep learning algorithms or Power BI charts. Okay, now where would he do that? Okay, so there are multiple platforms. In our case, it is Azure platform. And in Azure, we have multiple data services. For storage, we have data lake, and then we have Databricks for compute, Data Factory for compute, Synapse for compute. I'm going to talk about that a little later. But he is the one who would get data to the Azure platform first, and then do all the transformations that are needed, or all the massaging, wrangling. These are all the same terms, guys, that are needed, and then get that format, that one format using which the data scientist can run his algorithms and the data analyst can do his Power BI charts. Okay, so this is the role of data engineer. Okay, so basically, we have multiple ways of doing the same. This is not something which got introduced after cloud technologies. People have been doing since ages. Okay, since the time of databases, data warehouses, and again, whatever we are going to learn is not a replacement for traditional infrastructure what we have. Okay, I mean, you'll get better understanding when you are when you are diving deep into the topics in the coming sessions. Okay, but for now, I'm trying to make you understand at a very high level. Okay, now yeah, talking about this data engineer, right? He's the one who does all these things, and you know, so there are different services we have in cloud. Like I was mentioning, people have been doing this since ages using multiple tools. And whatever we are going to learn in our course is Azure Data Engineering is one such way that would help you to build data solutions in your organization. Okay. And your primary stakeholders would be data scientist and data analyst most of the time. Again, it depends on organization hierarchy too. In some organizational structure, we don't have data analysts. Data scientist would be doing the data analyst job as well. Sometimes in few organizations, we don't have data analyst, and that data analyst job would be done by the data engineers. That's very rare though. Most of the time, data reporting or data analyst job would be done by the data scientist, but a data engineer doing that job is very rare scenarios. Okay, so so basically to prepare your data, we are building something on cloud. Okay, so earlier we used to have on-premise ecosystems or on-premise systems where we used to have a dedicated administration team, and then we have a dedicated development team. There is a lot of overhead on the amount of money they're spending. So they wanted to shrink in this and move to cloud so that administrative effort would come down, because you are not managing anything. Your cloud vendor is doing that for you. Okay. So we are going to learn one such cloud, data engineering, and any service or any solution in data can be categorized into two types, guys. One is storage and second one is compute. So storage would help you to store your data just like your hard disk, as simple as that. But they have multiple features added to it. Like, maybe you want to archive your data which you are not using. You will have a flexibility to do that. If you want to automate that process, again, you'll have a flexibility to do that. And since your data is on cloud, you need that data to be encrypted for safety. Okay, so it will be providing you with that feature too. And then maybe, I mean, since it is in cloud, again, you want to take steps needed for protecting your data. Okay, there's saving it from accidental deletes. These are all the things, though, these are all the things that were considered by the cloud vendor when they while they are coming up with any service for you. So for example, I spoke about encryption, protection, and then archival. So all these things are there in something called as Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So this is what we are going to learn in our course, where you actually store the data and manage your data. And this ADLS Gen 2, we refer to as storage account. Would be helping you with all the features that are needed to manage your data effectively. Okay. And likewise, compute, storing your data won't be sufficient. You'll also have to process your data. Okay, you might have to do a lot of transformations like joinings, filters, unions, pivot, unpivot, or a window aggregate functions, whatnot. Okay, so for the same, you need some compute. So we have some compute services too. Azure Databricks, and then we have Azure Data Factory. We have Synapse, Azure Synapse Analytics, etc. So I'm just mentioning few services, guys, but there are multiple services too. Okay, and we need some supporting services like Azure Key Vault, where you store all the sensitive information like your passwords, keys, etc. And then pull it from this Azure Key Vault for the security basis. Okay, so these are the different services that we have. For storage, we are gonna use Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, and for compute, we have multiple other sources. Okay, now, whenever you are given with a data problem, it's all about answering three questions, guys. What, where, and then how. Okay, so what type of data you're dealing with, where exactly the data is currently residing, and then how you are going to process it. Okay, so at multiple steps, not just at one step. Okay, so this is one category. So for example, the first process what we call is data ingestion. So basically, ingestion is nothing but a process of bringing data from the source system to the cloud. Because at the end of the day, you are going to do all the transformations on cloud. Okay, so the first step is ingestion, where you'll have to bring in data from on-premise systems or whatever your source system could be to the cloud. Okay, so when it comes to ingestion process, what is nothing but what is your source? Sorry, what type of data you have? Where is nothing but where is your source? How is nothing but what tool you are going to use to bring that data? So for example, it could be a data factory, it could be a custom code which you have written, or it could be any third-party tool supported by Microsoft. Okay, it could be anything. Okay, now let's talk about the next step, transformations. Okay, so once you are done with the ingestion, the second step you do is transformation. Okay, so this transformation, when you are doing, right, again, these three questions you'll be answering. Okay, what transformations you're gonna do, and then where you're gonna do this in the, I mean, at what part of your pipeline you're gonna do this, and then how. Okay, what tool you'll be using to do this transformation, whether you'll be using PySpark, or maybe you want to do it a drag and drop kind of a tool using a data factory, or you want to automate this using writing stored procedures of Synapse. Okay, so these are the things which you will be answering during this phase. And then we have something called as load. Meaning, once you have done the transformation, you want to save it. Okay, so what data you want to save it, where, the location where you want to store it, how, the file format. You want to store it as a Parquet file, you want to store it as a Delta file, you want to store it as a ORC file or an Avro file. Okay, so it's all about, when you are creating data pipeline. So this ingestion, transformation, load, these three together is what we call as a data pipeline. Pipeline would start from ingesting your data, bringing data to the cloud, and then transforming it, and finally loading it in the format where my data scientists and data analysts can consume data from. Okay, so these three together we call as data pipeline. at every stage of this pipeline, you will have to answer these three questions: what, where, and how. Okay, if you could do that, that is data engineering for you. Okay, so the data could be of any format, structured, unstructured, even if it is unstructured or semi-structured, what is the type of data, whether it is CSV, JSON, XML. Okay, if it is a text format or a binary format, if it is a binary format, whether it is Parquet, ORC, sequence. Okay, so there are multiple things that we are going to deal with. Okay, let me take a pause. Any questions so far?
Yeah, yeah, Suresh. When the Azure Blob concept comes, like storage, right?
Storage account.
Okay. Mhm. So I can upload my images or I can upload anything to Azure Blob, right?
And again, don't get confused with the traditional blob and Azure blob. They are not the same. So generally in databases, you use blob objects for multimedia. I mean multimedia objects, but that's not the case with storage account. Everything is a blob here, even if it is text.
Okay.
Even if you're uploading a CSV file, that CSV file would be stored as a blob internally.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? Okay, then let me move to the, yeah, go ahead.
One question, Suresh. In the
And
compute, like you mentioned, Azure Databricks, Data Factory, and Synapse. So are these services or are these tools? I know it's very dumb, maybe dumb question, but very basic, right? So
basically both are same, aren't they?
oh, services and tools both are same. Tool might have the UI part, right? So services
Sorry,
not,
tool
right?
might have.
I mean UI interface, right? I mean,
Okay. I see where you're coming from, but in cloud, sometimes we refer them to services, sometimes we refer them to tool. Most of the time I would say services. We call them as data services. Okay. So to your point, all these services still have UI where you can write the code, where you can do the transformation. Sometimes you don't even have to write code. Say, for example, you're dealing with the data factory, you don't have to write a code. It's all configuration driven, just like SSIS. Okay. And even using Databricks and Synapse Analytics, there are a few operations where you don't have to write a code, like creating a table, or maybe you want to explore an autoloader option, or maybe you're mounting something. You don't have to write any code. Okay. So I would prefer them calling services because that's the general term people use. But for me, they are tools too, because you're not developing anything from the scratch. They are providing with a lot of inbuilt features using which you are writing your applications.
okay, yeah, understood. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So moving on to the next topic, which is the course curriculum. Okay. So I want to highlight this thing. People who are coming with some background, they'll have to be patient for a while, guys, because I treat all my students as laymen, as if they're coming from a different background, they don't know anything, and that's how I'm gonna start. Okay, so few things could be repetitive for you, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop with that. I will be diving into the advanced concepts which would help you to crack your interviews too. Okay, now talking about the course, we will start with introduction to data. Okay, so here we'll be spending good amount of time in understanding the basics, what exactly data is, what are the different types of classifications we have, what is structured data, what is unstructured data, what is semi-structured data, and then different types of processing, what is this batch processing, what is this real-time processing. Though our course is predominantly on batch processing, okay, but you'll get to understand what is this historic data, what is OLTP engine, what is OLIP engine, transaction data. So all these things you'll get comfortable with. Okay, and this is theory. And we'll be spending hardly 1 hour on that. And then introduction to cloud. Okay. So this will have theory plus practicals. So basically, you'll get to understand what cloud is, what are the different types of clouds we have: public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, serverless, and then PaaS, SaaS, infrastructure as a service. Yes, you'll get to understand all these terms. Okay. And what GCP has to offer, what AWS has to offer, what Azure has to offer. Okay. And we will be setting up Azure account as well, which you will be using for your practice for this course. Okay. Now, you might ask me, boss, whether it is free or paid subscription. If you haven't done anything before, it's for free of cost for first 1 month. Okay. And the second month, you'll have to pay it from your pocket. And or if you have multiple credit cards, multiple email IDs, you can manage free. Okay, that I'm not going to talk about now. This is a high level information. Okay, but when you get into the course, when we are talking about this particular topic, I'm going to deep dive into it. Okay, what are the multiple options you have to explore? Okay, if you want to spend money, that is the best way. You don't have to put in a lot of effort. You just create an account. And if you ask me how much that would be, it won't be more than 1500 INR. Okay, I repeat, 1500 rupees INR. If you are carefully following all the instructions I'm giving you. Okay. So that's the easiest way where you don't have to put in a lot of effort into the other things. If you want it to use completely free, you will have to put in a lot of effort. Make sure you have, 2 to 3 credit cards, which you haven't used in any Microsoft accounts earlier, and create 2 to 3 new Gmail IDs or any email IDs. Okay. And then comes our star, our first service, storage account. Okay, so here I'm going to walk you through ADLS Gen 2. Okay, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We'll be talking about a lot of things here, both theoretical and practical. You'll be doing it. I'm going to show you what containers is, what a medallion architecture is, what a data lifecycle management policy is, how encryption is done, what is customer managed key. And then there is something called as access keys. I'm going to show you how access keys works. And then data retention policies, and then data protection, how you can do it, right? So all these things will be covered. And, I'll be showing you the importance of the medallion architecture. Okay. So the traditional process is ETL, but in cloud, we always do ELT, extract, load, and then transform. I'm going to talk about those differences as well during the medallion architecture. Okay. So once we are done with this, I'm going to teach you SQL. I'm going to spend 4 to 5 hours on SQL. You can expect 4 hours where I'll be teaching you all the transformations that are needed. Okay. So don't just treat this as SQL, guys. I'm going to mix it up with Spark SQL. Okay. And, I'm going to do this under Databricks. We will be setting up Databricks account first. Okay. And then I'm going to teach you Spark SQL. It is not same as your traditional SQL. Most of the time it is same, but there are few differences too. This will help, people who already know SQL to understand the differences of Databricks and Spark. Okay. With the traditional database and, Spark database, sorry, not Spark database, Spark SQL. And for people who are not familiar with SQL, it will give you an opportunity to learn SQL, what different transformations we have and other things. Okay, once we are done with this, then I'm gonna start PySpark. Okay, this is another interesting thing. Here we'll be spending at least couple of weeks on learning PySpark, what exactly a data frame is, how different operations can be done, optimizations we can do, different types of compute we have. Again, when I say PySpark, it's PySpark with Databricks features too, like what is a job compute, what is an interactive compute. Okay. And then we'll talk about Databricks workflows. We'll talk about widgets. We'll talk about different file formats, how we deal with different file formats. Okay. And, whole lot of things, guys. Then I'm gonna have a dedicated topic for managing Delta Lake. Okay. So what exactly is Delta Lake? What advantages it brought compared to the predecessors. Okay. And then we'll talk about how these data lineages are computed, all those things, Unity catalog, autoloader, whatnot. Databricks, I'm gonna cover to an extent that you don't have to refer any other resources. I can guarantee you best in the industry. Whatever the content I'm gonna cover, I'm gonna take a solid 1 month for Databricks, guys. Okay, there is a reason. If you want to know why, right after this course, you can open the respective job portals wherever you are connecting from. If it is India, you can open Monster Job, Naukri, or you can do the search in LinkedIn as well. If you are connecting from US, I'm not sure what you have job portals, but you can, since you are probably familiar with them, you can just open and check for Azure Data Engineering. There won't be a single job description without Databricks. Okay, so Databricks is one of the most used data services in Azure. But the advantage is Databricks has its presence in AWS and GCP as well. Okay. So after Databricks, I'm gonna start ADF, Azure Data Factory. So here we'll be spending around a couple of weeks in learning uh, the basics of ADF, and then how the pipelines can be built, how we do data ingestion from on-premise. I'm gonna show you demo, okay, on how you can pull data from on-premise systems to cloud. Okay, so here we'll be learning, the basics of data factory, like activities, pipelines, and then triggers, different types of triggers we have, data flows, and then, we will get to learn good amount of activities under conditions and iterations, general, and then specific activities like copy activities, Synapse activity, Databricks activity, a lot of things. Okay. And then I'm gonna talk about this Azure Key Vault as well. Okay, so Azure Key Vault, you will get to understand what exactly a Key Vault is, why do we have to store our sensitive information into this Key Vault, and once stored, how will we be using these keys in our code. Okay, so those things I'm gonna cover. And we will be ending our course with Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, so I'll be spending less than 3 hours on Azure Synapse Analytics, because Azure Synapse Analytics, once I have completed Databricks and Data Factory, you'll understand why. This is almost equivalent to ADF plus Databricks. There are few differences, though it's not exactly same, but those are the things which I'm gonna cover. So basically there are two types of pools here. One is Spark pool, and then there is something called a SQL pool. And in SQL, you have two pools again. One is serverless pool, and then we have something called as uh, dedicated pool. Okay, so we'll try to understand these differences. How Synapse is different from other sources. By the time we come to Synapse, you'll already be pretty comfortable with Databricks notebooks. So using Synapse notebook won't be a big deal. I'm gonna show you how you can do that and the differences we have there, all those things. Okay, the entire duration for this course is 2 months, guys. Okay, so it will be close to 40 hours of training, right? And talking about theory, practical. Okay, so whenever theory is needed, yes, there will be sessions where we'll be discussing only on theory. There could be 2 to 3 consecutive sessions to sometimes, especially when we are talking about Spark architecture, understanding executors, core memory, all those things. It would take good amount of time in theory. And practicals, I would say 80% of my course is practical course. Okay, so no concept will be taught to you without an example. And all these examples are from my use cases or my project, whatever I have been developing or using from past 12, 13 years. Okay, the data set or the industry might not be the same, but the use case would be same. Okay, and how big will be our data sets? It will be in few KBs to MBs. So you don't have to worry about costing. Here, we are not doing the performance testing or anything like that. Performance optimization, definitely not. Those things will learn only theoretical. Okay. but I'm not gonna deal with any data having more than 1 MB or maximum 5 MB. Okay, so in the interest of cost, nothing else. And next one, I want to highlight, yeah, sessions are from Monday to Friday, IST, mornings. Time would be announced by career folks. All the other administrative things like time, price, all those things, etc., would be, you know, sorry, career folks will get back to you on these things. Okay. And yeah, Monday to Friday, IST morning is this thing. And also, we can, yes, Monday to Friday only. It's not only Anshu. We need rest too, Saturday and Sunday. So Monday to Friday itself is a huge task. At least people who are already working can understand that pain. Just kidding. Okay. And then, what other thing I want? Yeah, bi-weekly, we will have a connect, guys. Okay, so this is an initiative which we are starting from this batch. Okay, so we are gonna create a link, and basically this bi-weekly call is to uh, give you post-course support. Okay, so this link will be shared with you also, where the current batch students, also the previous batch students can join, and then get their questions answered. Okay, so after course, when they're practicing, if they're running into any issues, or maybe they're struggling with, uh, refining their resume, or maybe they're struggling with understanding job descriptions, or anything, guys, anything after this course, for you to get a job, you need some support, except proxies or job support. Okay, so any support that you need to land in a job, you can discuss in this bi-weekly calls. This will I mean, we are planning to start this on a Sunday, on a bi-weekly basis. And based on the response we are gonna get from the students, we'll see if we have to do it every week or bi-weekly should do. Okay. But for current batch, it doesn't matter whether previous batch students are joining or not, but at least current batch can join, and then can talk about the issues they are stuck for a long time. So for example, few issues which doesn't take 5-10 minutes, I'll be helping you out in the class itself. But let's say, everybody else is able to do it, you're not able to do it, and you're struggling with your subscription, your email ID or something else, then probably I would park them for these sessions. Okay, so this is something which I'm gonna initiate from this batch. Okay, most probably April 30th will be our, not April 30th. April 27th will be our first connect, first alumni connect. Okay, so we are also, trying to get all the contacts under one umbrella. And probably once we have that broadcast groups created, we'll be starting this initiative. Okay, and then you will get all the artifacts you see in the session, except the word, except the notepad I use. Okay, but what are the code examples you're seeing? What are the documents you're seeing? What are the things you're seeing in the session? You will get them, recordings too. Okay, now let me take a pause for your Q&A.
Suresh, I had a network issue. So what exactly you said? Bi-weekly, what we have?
It's a post-course connect support.
Okay.
Okay, so probably this coming weeks, you can expect the previous batch students joining there, and you will also join.
Okay.
Okay, where you can bring up any challenges you are facing, or maybe you can bring up any assistance that you might need in your resume preparation or resume refinement, I would say. Not preparation, I'll not be able to help you in preparation, but I can help you in refining the resume you have already prepared.
Okay. Got it.
So those things will be there. And one more question I want to answer is a project. Okay, so people keep bugging me about the project, but I want you to understand it's not just me, but if somebody is promising you a live project or an online project, they're just bluffing, guys. Okay, so I will provide you with all the use cases across the services which are all real time. Okay, which I have already used or which I'm currently using. Okay, so I will be giving you a end-to-end assignment to how this can be done. Okay, but don't expect me to get the data sets from the real project at scale and do all these things. Definitely, that's not going to happen because I believe in giving fair commitments. Whatever I commit today, you'll get it. Whatever I didn't commit today, I might not be able to help you with them. Okay, so setting up the right expectations is another important aspect. Okay, but at the end of the day, you won't feel like that you don't know how end-to-end projects work. You will definitely get that feel. In fact, I'll be spending a couple of hours in explaining my projects end-to-end. I have worked on 15 plus projects, guys. So I'm going to explain my project itself, projects plus POCs. I'll not be doing all of them because most of them are irrelevant today, but I'll be picking up 2 to 3 scenarios or 3 projects, which might definitely help you in cracking your interviews. Okay, but you might have to tweak it so that, it would complement your resume, the projects you have worked in you have mentioned in your resume. Okay. So yeah, thanks.
One question, Suresh, sorry. Like, what will be the lab? Like, do we get any credentials to log in, or do we have to register like the way you said using credit card or something, or like how will we get logging into the Azure portal and do the lab? I mean, practical.
You need credit card.
Okay, if we, I mean, in case we don't have that, is there any other option like using a debit card or something?
No,
Oh, okay.
but Databricks you can still survive because Databricks Community Edition is there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but some of the features are not available. But I said 1 month for Databricks, right? At least 3 weeks labs you can do it.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay, so I would highly recommend to find it somehow.
Mm, sure. Okay, yeah.
That
Thank you.
will make your life easy.
Right. Thank you.
Demo meeting recording, like I was mentioning, right? I'll not be able to do anything about it. Just like you have joined this meeting, I joined this meeting too. But you're listening, I'm delivering. That's it. Okay, you'll have to contact Career folks, and they would do that. Like I was mentioning, every single recording will be shared. Okay, that's correct, Srikanth.
No, Suresh, can I ask or do you want me to type?
Sorry, anything is fine. Whatever you're
Okay, no, with this maybe 13 plus years of experience, so would all of us able to crack when there is an interview prep comes after this entire course?
That's a very good question, Srikanth. It's not just for Srikanth, but this is for everybody else, especially for the people who are coming from a different background and some experience. Okay. So it all depends on how much baggage you already have. 13 years is too much, 16 years is too much. Okay. So especially from these experience ranges, right? My general experience, in US, experience doesn't really matter. But when it comes to India, the
Yeah.
expectation would be a kind of an architect. Okay, so definitely, if I tell you, you go through my course and you'll be able to crack the interview, definitely no, 101%. If you are 3 to 5 year experience, you will be able to crack interview right after my course. Answer is yes. Okay, but 13-year experience, 10 plus year experience, you need to do a lot of other things apart from my course. Like I mentioned, like I always say, it's a journey. It's not just a short-term goal. 2 months when nothing will happen, for sure. You can't even reduce 5 kgs in 2 months here. So don't expect to crack a job in a new stream in 2 months with 5+ years of experience.
Got it. Maybe outside it happens in general, as you said.
So, this is the last session of my previous batch. So I would give you all the steps that you'll have to do right after this course. This is my project, but that's okay. So I'll give you all the steps. I'll give you all the assignments. You will have to put in a lot of effort. The effort you'll have to put in is directly proportional to your experience.
Right.
But guidance, yes, you'll get it. For how long? At this point in time, we are planning to give the continuous support on a bi-weekly basis. Okay. So again, see, when you're desperate to switch your current technology, you'll have to start somewhere, and my course is going to be that somewhere. Okay, but I don't want to commit that my course is everything for you to switch the stream. I hope that answers your question, Srikanth.
Certification related information you can provide, right, Suresh?
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Mhm.
I would provide information where you can crack certification without fail.
Okay.
I hope you understood what I mean.
I understand.
I don't want to reveal it in the first sessions, guys. That I'll be doing in the last session.
Okay.
Any live projects, Suresh?
I already answered this question, Rajesh. I would request you to go through the recording. No live projects. I have given a 5-minute explanation for the same. So you can just go through the recording, probably
Okay.
Q&A sections. I mean, probably this section.
Oh.
Okay.
Suresh, one last thing. So, in my current project, we are actually starting with Databricks and using like uploading some images to Azure Blob of 70 million records or something. So, just want to understand, I mean, after we start the course, how soon are we going to take the Databricks? Will that take a 10 days of time or something?
So you said database for what?
Azure Databricks, we are like migrating the data from my legacy system to Azure Blob.
Azure Blob. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So we would spend 2 weeks at least before we actually get into Databricks.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's what I want.
Okay, but I'm very happy that you are already working on Databricks and joining this course, because you can give a proper feedback to others on my topics, whatever I'm gonna cover under Databricks.
Right, we just started like we did. I mean, I'm not much familiar. Like I'm leading the migration team, and my juniors they brought up this topic. So I was like, I need to catch up on this. Like I
In
got an idea, but not
in couple of
exactly.
minutes time, you'll be able to lead the calls.
Right, right. So I need some hands-on without which I'll not be able to take this up. So yeah.
No, I'm giving you that commitment, right? Within if
Right.
not 2 sprints, but worst case 3 sprints, you'll be able to lead your calls. And when you are able to do that, I want you to let others know that how this is helping you out in the same batch.
Sure, definitely, sir.
At least
Yeah.
they'll have some questions getting clarified with probably
Mhm.
your feedback.
Sure, sure, definitely. I'll give that.
Thank you. So we'll be waiting for a couple more minutes, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. I have one more question in the chat window. Don't have any coding knowledge. My background was different. Pawan, you will have to learn Python, man. Okay. Uh, if I mean this could be for others too. How much Python do I need to learn? Basic Python we do. Okay, so without Python, will I not be able to understand this course? Without Python, you'll be able to understand this course, because PySpark uses Python, but PySpark is a framework. Okay, but knowing Python would help you to write code better. Even without Python, you will still be able to do it. So for just like you have learned, I'm gonna teach you SQL, I'm gonna teach you PySpark as well. You'll get to understand what transformations you can do. But when there is a task comes for you to automate something or implement something that is not there, you need Python. Okay, how much Python is needed? Just a basic Python. You can probably open any site, and then data structures and algorithm not at all needed. If at all data structures and algorithms are needed, I wouldn't have taken up data engineering stream at all. I'm very bad with DSA. That's why I have never attempted in any product companies. Okay. But yes, we need to learn some Python, guys, basics. I'm gonna talk about that, probably in the first session, various sources and what you can learn that can happen parallelly. Or maybe if you want an instructor-led training, Career IT also provides Python training. Okay, but basic Python would do. I'm gonna give you topics and I'll give you some free tutorials that are available in internet. Any other questions? Cool. So I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. Just before you leave a comment on how you felt about this demo in the chat window. Thank you all. Probably see you all on Monday with our first session.
Thank you.